Hey friends, Michael Warren here from Essential Guitar Lessons, and let's learn all about music theory for guitarists. This is part 4, so make sure you've watched part 1, 2 and 3 before you tackle this one, and I'll put a link in the description for you. Don't forget, if you like this lesson, to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Songs and lessons uploaded weekly. If you have any problems with this lesson, please leave a comment and let me know how you go. So this lesson will be on the major scales. Now the major scales are one of the most important concepts to understand. Nearly everything in Western music is based around these scales, so we want to know them back to front. So in this lesson, I'll show you 2 different ways to work them out, the theoretical way and an easier way to do it. Now before we start, you need to know the chromatic scale, sharps and flats, tones and semitones, or whole steps and half steps. If you don't understand these things, go back and watch part 1. So let's get into it. So a major scale is a 7-note scale, and we add in the 8th note, which is just the octave of the first note. So same note and octave apart. So there's only 7 different notes in a major scale. Now the major scale is a diatonic scale, and we'll talk about what that means at the end of the lesson. Now to make a major scale, we use a formula, and that is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, or whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. This will make sense as we get into it. So we bring up the chromatic scale because we're working off that. Now we'll start from C, because this scale has no sharps or flats. And if it's played on the piano, it's just played on the white keys, and that's the only major scale that just uses the white keys. Now there are reasons for this, but that again is more about music history. All we need to know is we'll be starting from C. Now you can start from any note of the chromatic scale, and we want a major scale for each note of the chromatic scale, and if you follow a few basic rules, you'll get the right notes to each major scale. And as we go through the lesson, you'll see it works out neatly as we go through the scales. So let's start with a couple of rules. We must remember, first, you can never repeat a letter. Now I say letter instead of note, because for each letter there is a sharp and a flat for that letter, except for B and E, which we don't have a sharp, and C and F, which we don't have a flat. So if there's a D in the scale, there can't be a D sharp or a D flat. If there's a D sharp, there can't be a D or a D flat. If there's a D flat, there can't be a D sharp or a D. And that goes for all the letters. So if I have an A sharp in my scale, I can't use A or A flat there. Again, if I was to have a G flat, I can't use G or G sharp because I've already used that letter. So once I've used a letter, whether it's a natural, sharp or flat, I can't use it again. So that's the first rule. The second rule is I can't skip a letter. So I can't go from, say, A to C because I've skipped over B. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a B or a B flat, I can't skip that letter. If I was on C, I can't skip to E or E flat. I must use either D, D sharp or D before the E. So again, if I was on F, I can't go straight to A or A flat or A sharp. I must put some G in there, whether it be a G sharp, a G or a G flat. So they're the 2 rules we must follow. Just a quick note, a major scale won't have sharps and flats in the same scale. It'll either be all sharps or all flats. So let's make a start. We'll start with C, as I said previously. So we write the C, and then we put our formula. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Then we use a chromatic scale. So I start on the C, and I go a tone from C. Now remember, that's 2 steps along the chromatic scale. So I go C to D. So the next note is D. Then I just follow the formula, so that I have D and I want another tone there. So D, I take 2 steps, takes me to E. Then from the E, if I look at my formula, I want a semitone. So we have E, semitone is 1 step, so that's E to F because there's no E sharp there. Then from F, we want another tone. So F, F sharp, G. From G, we want another tone there, so another 2 steps. So G, G sharp, we go back round to A. And then from the A, we want another tone. So A, A sharp to B. And then from the B we want a semitone, and that takes us back to our octave, our C. So that's the notes to the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to the C. So C major has no sharps or flats. Now at the end of the lesson, we'll put this on the guitar for you so you can see how to play it. So that's pretty easy. We just bring down our starting note, we put our formula there, and we work off the chromatic scale to get the notes for the major scale. Okay, so we have our C major scale. Now to work out our next scale, we go up a perfect fifth from C. So just count up 5 from the C and include the C in your count. So we have C, D, E, F, and G there. So G will be our next scale, our next major scale. Now we'll go into intervals and what a perfect fifth is in a later lesson. For now, just count up 5 from C, include C as number 1. And this is just for neatness, and you'll see what happens as we go through the scales. So again, we put our G down, we put our formula under the G, and then we just go through it like we did for the C major scale. So from our G, we need a tone there, so that takes us to A. 2 steps, we go G, G sharp, A. Then from A, we need another tone, so we go A sharp to B. From B, we need a semitone, so we have B to C. From C, we need a tone, so we have C, C sharp to D. From D, we need a tone, D, D sharp to E. And then from the E, we need another tone. So we have E, we have no E sharp, we have F, and then we have F sharp. So which do we use, the F sharp or the G flat there? So the rules say I can't repeat a letter, and I already have a G, so it can't be G flat. And if I did use G flat, I've skipped over F. So it must be F sharp, the tone from E, take 2 steps, F to F sharp. And then we have our semitone from F sharp, takes us back to the G there for the semitone. So a G major scale is G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. And then we go back to the G, which is the same as our first note, an octave apart. So G major has an F sharp. So let's do the next one. This time we count up 5 from the G. So again, include G as number 1. So we have G, A, B, C, and D there. So we put down the D, we put our formula, and then we go through it again using the chromatic scale. So we start on D, we need a tone, so we go to E, because we've got D, D sharp, E. Then we need another tone there. So we're going from the E, so a semitone would be F, so we have to make it F sharp again, because if we use the G flat, we've skipped over the F. So we have D, E, F sharp, then we have a semitone from F sharp, so we're going to go to G there. Then from the G we have a tone, so G, G sharp, A. Then from the A we have another tone, A sharp, B. Now from the B again I need another tone from B. A semitone would be C. So again, is it C sharp or is it D flat? Well, it has to be C sharp, because if I follow my rules again, I can't skip over the C, and I've already used a D. So that way it has to be C sharp. It can't be D flat, because I've already used that. So D major now has a D, an E, an F sharp, a G, an A B, and a C sharp, and then we go back to the D to finish. So this time our D major scale has 2 sharps, it's got an F sharp and a C sharp. So that's our D major scale. Now let's do our next one. We go up 5 again from the D, so D, E, F, G, A. So our next major scale is going to be A. Again, we bring down our formula and we go through it. So we have A, a tone, we want A sharp to B. B, we want a tone, so it's got to be B to C sharp. Again, I can't skip the C, so it can't be D flat. Then from C sharp, I want a semitone, so that takes me to the D. Then from the D, I want a tone, that takes me up to E. I want a tone from E, so that takes me up to F sharp. Again, I can't use G flat, because that means I've skipped over the F. So we have F sharp. From F sharp, I want another tone now. So I've got to take 2 steps again. So I've got F sharp, I go to G, then G sharp. Again, am I going to use A flat or G sharp? Well, I can't use A flat because I've already used A. So it must be G sharp there. And then from there, G sharp, we can go back to our A. And they're the notes to the A major scale. We have A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp and G sharp there, and finishing on the A again. So that's the A major scale. Now let's have a look at an easier way to get through this. We'll do E because again we're going up 5 from our A. So A, B, C, D, E. So let's do that now. So now we've got E major. So all we have to do is write the alphabet after E. So we have E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Now with our notes we never go higher than G. So when we get to the G we just go back to the A and just write out 7 letters from there. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Bring down the sharps from the previous scale. So we have the F sharp, we have the C sharp and we have the G sharp. We bring them down from the scale we just did. And then the new sharp is the 7th note, so it's a D sharp. So it's pretty easy. So the E major scale has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and now a D sharp there. So let's do another like that. It's pretty easy. We just go up 5 again from E. So we have E, F, G, A, B. So this time we're starting on B. So just write the alphabet from B. So we have B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Bring down the sharps from the previous scale. So F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. And then we make the new sharp the 7th note. So it'll be A sharp. So whenever we're doing it this way, it's always the 7th note that's going to be sharped of our new scale. So as you can see, with each new scale, we have 1 new sharp. Remember, you don't have to do it this way. You can start from any note, and if you follow the rules, you'll get the right notes for each scale. But you can see this keeps it nice and neat. We're adding a sharp each time we go down. Now after the B major, it starts getting weird. So let's do the next one using our formula. We'll go up 5 from B. So we have B, C, D, E, and we're going to use the F sharp because we're taking it from the previous scale. So we're going up 5 from the B major scale, so we're going to have an F sharp there. So we put down our F sharp and we add our formula: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And I go through the chromatic scale as I normally do. So we have F sharp, I need a tone, takes me to G sharp. I need a tone from G sharp, takes me to A sharp. A sharp, I need a semitone, so that takes me to B. From B, I need a tone, so that takes me to C sharp. And then I need a tone from C sharp, which takes me to D sharp. Now we need to take a tone from D sharp, so that would be F. But our rules say we can't skip a letter or we can't repeat a letter. So I've already got F sharp, so I can't use F. So it must be E. But that's only a semitone or a half step, and we want a tone or a whole step from the D sharp. So what we do is we make the E sharp. And if you remember in our first lesson, when we sharpen a note, we're just moving up a semitone along the chromatic scale. So E sharp is also F. 2 different names again, so enharmonic. So on my guitar, I have an F here, my first fret on my top E string, and I can also call that E sharp. So we must call it E sharp and not F because I can't skip a letter or repeat a letter. Now the reason for this is if I write my key signature at the start of my song, I would have to write an F sharp. So I should play all my Fs as F sharps in the song. So how would I know when to play an F instead of an F sharp? So that's why we call it E sharp. Now don't worry too much about this. We'll have a look at the key signatures at the end of the lesson. We just need to know in an F sharp major scale, we have an E sharp, and that's the same as the F note. We're just calling it E sharp now. So our F sharp major has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, and now E sharp. As we also spoke about in the first lesson, we can break the rule of the chromatic scale because now we have an E sharp. So now let's do the next scale. So we go up 5 from our F sharps from our previous scale. So we have F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B to C sharp there. And then we just go through it again using our chromatic scale. From C sharp we want a tone, that gives us our D sharp. We want a tone from D sharp, takes us to E sharp. We want a semitone from E sharp because we know that's F, so that'll take us to F sharp. We want a tone from F sharp, takes us to G sharp. A tone from G sharp takes us to A sharp. A tone from A sharp takes us to B sharp this time. Again, it's the same as the E sharp. We don't have a B sharp on our chromatic scale, but I can't skip to C because I've already used C and our rules say we can't do that. And I can't use B because that's only a semitone away, so I need to make the B sharp. So then for our C sharp major, we have every note, it's got a sharp on it. So our B sharp is just C, it's same as the E sharp is just F. So if I have B, and if I move it forward one, it's now B sharp and C. Same note, just two different names. And again, we do that because of the key signature. So for our C sharp major, all the notes have a sharp next to them. And we have every letter there. So we still have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. They're just all got sharps on them. So that's as far as we go with the sharps, because every note has a sharp. But if we want to, we can go further. Now this is very rare, but it can happen. So I go up 5 from C sharp. So we have C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, and this time I'm starting on G sharp. We put down our formula and we go through our scale. So everyone's going to have a sharp. Now the last note we have to use a double sharp because we can't skip the F and I also can't repeat the G. So I have to make it F sharp sharp, which is just G. Remember, when we're using a sharp or adding a sharp, I'm just moving a semitone forward. So if I've got F here, I make it F sharp, I've moved up a semitone. If I move it up again, I have F sharp sharp or a G. So again, enharmonic note there, F sharp sharp is the same as G, same note, two different names. Now you can continue with the scales doing this and we end up with double sharps on all the notes there. Again, this is rare, you're not going to see many key signatures with double sharps in it, but we can do it, and that's as far as we go with the sharps and the major scales using the sharps. So that gives us all the major scales using sharps. We also have another lot of major scales using flats. This time we start from F and we do exactly the same. Write down the F, put down your formula, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and we work it off the chromatic scale. So let's go through that. We're starting on the F, we need a tone, takes us to G, we need a tone from G, takes us to A. Now I need a semitone from A. So it can't be A sharp because I've already used the A. So it must be B flat there. Then we have B flat, we have a tone from that, takes us to C. Then we want a tone from C, takes us to D. A tone from D takes us to E. Then we want a semitone and that takes us back to the F there, or our starting note of that scale. So F major now has a B flat in it. Now this time to get to the next scale, instead of going up 5, we go up 4, which is a perfect fourth. Again, we'll get to this in the lesson on intervals. So we have F, G, A, B flat we're going to start. Again, we just add our formula and we go through the scale using the chromatic scale. So we have B flat, we have a tone from B flat, takes us to C. The tone from C takes us to D. Then we want a semitone from D. So we have to use E flat, we can't use the D sharp there. Then from E flat, I want another tone, takes us to F, tone from F takes us to G, tone from G takes us to A, and then a semitone from A takes us back to B flat. So our B flat major scale has a B flat and an E flat in it. So I hope you can see what's happening here. We're starting to add an extra flat again as we go down. So let's do the next one. We had B flat, this time we go up 4 again. So B flat, C, D, E flat. So our next major scale is going to be the E flat major. So again, just put our formula down. This time I'll just stick up the notes for you. At home, go through, use the formula and see if you come up with the right notes there. So our E flat major has B flat, E flat and A flat there. Now we can also do this the cheats way or a quicker way like we did with our other major scales. So we go up 4 like we did with our previous scale. So we have our E flat, we have E flat, F, G, A flat this time. So our next scale is going to be A flat major. We just write the alphabet after it, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Bring down the flats from before. So what did we have? We had B flat, bring that down. We had E flat, bring that down. And we also already had A flat, and we've already got that there because the next one's A flat major. Now this time, instead of making it the 7th note, just go to the 4th note and flatten that, and that's your new note there, your new flattened note. So whenever we're using flats, we just, for our new scale, we just flatten the 4th note there. So then we can go and do our next one as well. So hopefully you can see what's going on by now. So let's do the next ones a little bit quicker we have. Then we go up 4 again, so we've got our D flat major. This time we're going to have B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. Now it gets a little weird again, like when we were using the sharps, we have our G flat major. Now this time we're going to have a C flat in it. So again, there is no C flat on our chromatic scale there, but I can't use B because I've already got a B flat. So we're just calling it C flat, which is exactly the same as B. So on my guitar, I have a C. If I go back a semitone, makes it C flat. So again, C flat and B are the same note. But when I'm doing my major scales, I can't use B because I've already got a B flat in there. So we have to call it C flat. Now the next one's going to be the same. We have a C flat major next. So we're going to have B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat, and this time we're going to have an F flat. Again, on our chromatic scale there is no F flat, but we have to put that in there because I can't use the E. So I'm taking my F or my F down here, and if I go back a semitone, it takes me to the open string, so that's our E. Or if we do it up the neck, F, go back one takes us to E, but I can't use E because I've already got E flat, so we have to call it F flat there. And that again is because of the key signature. So our C flat major has B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat and F flat now. So all the notes have been flattened. So for the same as our major scales where we put the double sharps, we can also have double flats and we can keep going through there. So again, you can do that at home if you like and just add double flats through the major scales using our formula. So let's go over the key signature. Now all the key signature is what sharps or flat a scale has. So if I look at my G major scale, that has an F sharp, so its key signature is F sharp. If I was to look at, say, my E major scale, its key signature would be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp and D sharp there. If I was to look at my F major scale, the key signature would be B flat. So the key signature is just the flats and the sharps in the scale. Now we also have the key, and if the key signature only had F sharp, we'd say it's in the key of G major. If the key signature had F sharp and C sharp, and only those sharps, the key would be D major. Let's have a look at another one. If the key signature was B flat, E flat, A flat and D flat, and only those flats, that would be in the key of A flat major. So let's put it on the staff. You can see we have one sharp, which is F sharp. So we look at our major scales and we see the only scale that has an F sharp is G major. So the key signature is F sharp and the song is in the key of G major. So that means in the song we only use the notes from the G major scale. So whenever an F of any octave comes up, we need to play it as an F sharp. So it doesn't matter if it's a low F or a high F, we play it as F sharp. Unless it has a natural in front of it, which takes off the sharp, and we had a look at that at the previous lesson. So let's have a look at another one. Let's do B flat major. So now my key signature would have two flats, B flat and E flat there. So I know I'm in the key of B flat major, and I can only use those notes in the song. So whenever there's a B, I play it as B flat. Whenever there's an E, I play it as E flat again, unless there's a natural in front of it there. The whole song will have B flat and E flat in it, and we're in the key of B flat major there. So our key signature is our sharps or our flats. So you want to know this back to front and remember all the scales and what sharps and flats they have in them. So write it down a few times and keep reviewing it until you remember all the scales. Now we also said that the major scales are diatonic scales. So a diatonic scale is what we say a heptonic scale. So just a 7-note scale with 5 tones and 2 semitones in one octave, and the 2 semitones are separated by 2 or 3 tones there. So it's not just the major scales that are diatonic scales, but for the moment all we need to remember is all our major scales are diatonic scales there. So let's put those major scales onto the guitar. Now there's quite a few ways you can play the same major scale, as long as you're playing the right notes to the scale. So if it's got a sharp in it, make sure you put that sharp in it, or a flat. Now you can also work out different ways to play it just using those notes. So let's have a look at 2 common ways to play through it. Both are right and you can use either one. Probably one of the most common, we're going to start on using the C major scale. So let me show you where the fingers go first, and then we'll go through the notes as well. And we want to remember these shapes. So we're going to have 8th fret on the top E string. So we go 8, 10 on the top E string. On the A string we have 7, 8, 10. On the D string we have 7, 9, 10. On the G string we have 7, 9, 10. On the B string we have 8, 10, and on the E string we have 7, 8, and up to 10 to finish there, and then just go back exactly the same way using the same fingers there. So that's the shape. Let's go through the notes so you can see how it works. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So I'm back to the C now. An octave for my first note, and then I can keep going. So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now I can continue up there, so we have C and we go to D normally there. Strict letter of the law, we should actually stop on the C because we started on the C, but all guitarists play to the next note there. So C, D, and then it's the same coming back there. So we've just played the notes of the C major scale, and that's a really common way of doing it. Another way we can do it is using what they call 3 notes per string, so let's go over that. Again, we'll just go through the frets first, and then we'll have a look at the notes. So I can go on the E string, 8, 10, 12, and then on the A string, same again, 8, 10, 12. Then on the D string, I'm going to go 9, 10, 12. G string, same, 9, 10, and 12. Then on the B string, we're going to move up 1 again, so we're going to have 10, 12, 13, and same on the E string, 10, 12, 13. Coming back is exactly the same as going up there. So although we've played the scale completely different, we're still using exactly the same notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. This time we're finished on the F there. Coming back is exactly the same there. So when we play a major scale, we should only play to the start note of the same octave. So we can do 2 or 3 octaves there. But the way the guitar is made, we actually changed that a bit. So strict letter of the law, when we're playing a major scale, we should play from the first letter to the octave of that letter, or the second or the third octave. Now it doesn't matter if we don't, because all guitarists use these same shapes there, so you're not really breaking any laws. We're still just playing the notes of the C major scale. Now the beauty of the guitar is once we remember the shape of one of the major scales, so we've got 2 different shapes here using C major, all the rest use the same shape. Unlike the piano, you have to remember all the sharps and the flats to each scale. We don't have to. All I need to know is remember the shapes. Now we do want to remember the notes, but as you're doing that, you can still play the scales. So I could take that exact 3-note per string scale that I played starting on C. Now if I start on G, if I use that exact same shape, I'm going to get all the notes to the G major scale. So it'd be 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, moving up, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. So you can see it's the same shape there. And as long as I play the shape correct, I've played all the right notes. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. And the same coming back down there. Finishing on the G. Again, I could use the first shape we did, and I'm going to end up playing the right notes there. So whatever note I start on, that's the starting note of the scale. If I was to start on A and play the same shape again, I'm now playing the notes of the A major scale there. Same shape as before, and I can use either shape there again. And now I'm playing the notes of the A major scale without even knowing what the notes are. And again, we do want to remember all the notes, but that as you're learning it, and as you're remembering the notes, you can still practice the scales in different positions on the neck there, and you'll be playing the right notes. So that's the major scale. Again, a lot of information to take in. Just take your time, watch the lesson a few times if you need to. We want to remember all this, all the scales, all their sharps and flats. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.